Hello, everybody. It's time for book club. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Welcome. If this is your first time finding us, wow, what a strange place of the internet you have landed upon. If you guys don't know me, my name is Patricia, but most people call me Patches, and I'm the owner and host of the Morbidly Curious Book Club. Started this back in 2021 as a fun way to get through some of my nonfiction TBR. And then decided to put it on the internet, and suddenly we had 10 members, and I was stoked. I was like, oh, people want to read weird shit with me. And now we have surpassed 17,000 global members, which is absolutely crazy. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I appreciate all of your comments. Thanks for joining us. Yes, hi, Mikey. Hello, you got a mic. Candace says hi, Mikey. Joined by some incredible people who I will announce here in a second. But first and foremost, as always, the Morbidly Curious Book Club is a small business. So, of course, I have to promote some cool things that we do here at the book club. We do have a website that I just posted in the comments where you're able to subscribe to our BookBox subscription service and check out our podcast and check out our merchandise, which I'm wearing my baseball t-shirt, which I live in at this point. This is one of the comfiest shirts that I own. Collaborations that we've done, and what else is happening over there? The Patreon. Shout out to our Patreon members. Thank you so much for being oh yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for being a part of the Patreon, where you guys are able to get exclusive behind the scenes content. You get early and ad-free podcast episodes, and you do get 2 bonus book clubs. We do have a fiction book club and a spicy book club just for funsies. We just had our meeting for our November pick, which was Death of the Author by Nydia Okorafor, and that was such an interesting conversation because everybody interpreted the ending differently, and that was super fun to hear. So yeah, there's super cool things happening over there. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. Hello, hi. Hello, friends. Buried under a foot of snow. Well, Steph in Toronto probably has you beat. I don't know. You had a lot of snow too. We have none in North Carolina currently. Anyway, welcome, friends. I'm here with some people you probably recognize. Here with Mikey, Steph, and Alyssa. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I am very curious to hear what you guys thought of our book this month. We are discussing our November book, which was 9 Pints by Rose George. And this is the promo photo for the podcast, so please go check that out. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. And then I have some cool announcements for next month's book, but of course with the please note that we're not meeting in December. We're meeting in early January. All of our December meetings meet in early January, but we'll talk about that later. So without further ado, what did I miss? I don't think I missed it. Hello, peeps. Dusting of snow. Yeah, North Carolina probably won't see any. The book was bloody good. Love that. Mary Roach said the same thing. She's blurred at the top. Bloody hell, this is a good book. So we will just go in order here. Mikey, if you don't mind starting us off, what did you think of the book? Overall thoughts? Do you rate books? And also, folks who read it, tell us in the comments. Oh, sorry, Danielle. Yeah, we no longer do a Zoom link. We do a live show now where I chat with other book club members because we got a little too big. We kept maxing out the Zoom meetings over 100 people, so we just decided to move to a live show format. And that was also my fault because I took the beginning of November off and I realized how much I didn't do that I was supposed to do at the beginning of November today on the last day of November. So typically the link will be more readily available on our book club site and everything. So that is on me. My apologies. Yes. So we do just now have a live show that you guys watch on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and you guys are able to comment. And this is how we have book club now, just because we have a lot of people and we're unable to do this over Zoom. But also, if you guys go to our website, you can see our chapter meetings that we do all over the world. If you see if one's in your area, and we can also talk here. Yes, of course. See if one's in your area, and if there isn't one in your area, you could start one up and maybe work with like a local bookstore or something, or independent bookstore, and get the Morbidly Curious word out there. So yeah. Anyway, Mike, let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments too, by the way. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining.
Hi. Thanks for having me. It was great. Always love seeing you and Steph and Alyssa and everyone else in the chat. I like the book. I like medically sorts of books. Typically, I've always rated these higher. This one, maybe a little less high, somewhere around 3.5. I do rate books. A little bit of art and artist issues there coming in. We'll talk about that, I think, a little more. But I loved the concept. I learned so much. One of the topics we're going to talk about is what did we learn from the book, and I have 17 bullet points. So yeah, I'm with Red Hair Dash. 3.5 out of 5. That's about where I sit too. I think.
That seems to be the general consensus. Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you. And there was a lot I liked about it beyond the medical stuff, and we'll get more into that. But I don't want to take time away from Steph and Alyssa.
No worries. Yeah, the rating stuff is interesting because I always Morgan also said 2 out of 5. I always Bob Blast appears. I always ask that question too at my chapter meetings that I host in the general Charlotte area of North Carolina. And most of the time, people at those book clubs actually don't rate books. And you also need to specify if you rate it out of 5 or out of 10, because the book club's app or site that we use does out of 10. And that has happened before where some people are like, I gave it a 3. And we're all like, oh, that's not a bad rating. And they're like, no, out of 10.
Out of 10. Yeah.
So I do like to ask because I do rate as well. It's actually something I'm trying to maybe step slowly away from, is rating, because I do think it takes up a lot of my mental load, especially after finishing the book. Anyway, 3.5. 3 out of 5. That's so funny. Okay, love that. We're on the same page here. Steph.
I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. I'll start with my rating. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I really wanted to like this book. I genuinely was so excited about this topic, but I also think that I rated it a lot lower because I was not the target audience for a significant chunk of this book. Because it really seemed to me like this book was targeted at people who didn't have a lot of prior knowledge about certain topics about blood. And that's not me.
That'd be me.
So I took a lot of issue with those chapters because I was like, no, you need more detail there.
Yeah.
We'll get into it, of course, but that was my 2.5 out of 5. And then also Mike and I have previously discussed this a little bit, but we'll get into it again. Same issues, artist and the art issues as well.
Yeah. Alyssa?
I didn't finish it on purpose.
Yeah.
I DNF'd it 6 chapters in. I tried really hard. The topic's super interesting. So if I had to rate it, it would be a nice solid 1 for effort.
Yep.
Because the topic up my alley, totally up my alley. I just didn't vibe with it. It just wasn't for me.
Yes. And I told you before, Alyssa, I know I always welcome people in the chat, guests on the show, whatever. Even if you DNF'd it, please come tell us why, because I think that that's equally as important. The Morbidly Curious Book Club is a huge fan of DNFing books. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. But I do understand some people who are like, but I have to finish it. That's on you. Do your thing. Whatever works for you. So yeah, this is good. I'm glad that most of the people in the chat kind of feel the same way that we do, because in most of the chapter meetings, which is what I have before this, because this always happens at the last Sunday of the month, so I've had all my chapter meetings, they've actually been pretty 50-50. There's been some people who are actually pretty familiar with like some nurses who attend the meetings who found it just absolutely fascinating. They're like, oh, this is, cool stuff. I also found out some other people at other book clubs who are nurses and didn't want to read it because they're like, I want escapism, I don't want to touch this, which I totally get. And then there's some people who are like, listen, I didn't know anything about blood, so I found this super fascinating. And then there's some people who are like, this was terrible. So it's been about 50-50, but not here in this chat. This is super cool. The cat is screaming at the door. And I do appreciate all of the pictures that you guys post out at your chapter meetings too. Chelsea, I know, goes to the Norfolk one, and then of course Steph, any pictures you guys post of the Toronto stuff, I always appreciate as well. All right, yeah, it was about the same for me. It's about a 3.5. Unlike Steph, and I guess similar to Alyssa, this is something totally up my alley. Obviously, I picked the book. I hope you can't hear my cat screaming. I found this super interesting. I found some parts super interesting. I had a great conversation with her for the podcast. And, I learned a lot, and there were some parts that I did have to skip because, some of my anxiety was spiking in certain areas. Blood does completely freak me out. I personally do not donate. I also haven't been able to because I just continuously get tattoos, and that's part of my excuse personally, because I don't want to be that person who hosts the Morbid Nonfiction Book Club and say blood scares me. I guess I should preface by saying my own blood scares me. More so than anything. If other people are getting their blood drawn, that's fine. Pages. I don't know. I found some moments and some verbiage very binary. I had some issues with some of the author's perspectives, I guess, on oh my god. Can you all hear the cat?
Yes.
100% yes. I thought it was my cat, actually.
He's fine. That's Winston. He just really wants to hang out in here, but I know it's just because he smells my food. I'm trying to I don't know. I'm trying to get my thoughts together here, and I don't really know how to I guess my problem is I don't really know what exactly, because you guys obviously know more than I do when it comes to this type of stuff. So I'm trying to figure out what I didn't necessarily like of the book. And I think one of my bigger gripes, I guess, would be length. I thought, I appreciated the fact that Winston is yelling. Yeah. He just wants to hang out. He's fine. Appreciated the fact that there were 9 chapters in 9 pints. That was satisfying. Thank you for that. I just feel like maybe 2 of the chapters, the menstruation chapters, could have been combined. I felt some chapters were super long. I could have used a whole book on Dame Janet Maria Vaughan. I thought she was super badass. So that kind of leads me to my next question, which would just be, what is something that you learned? And for me, like Mike said, I just have so many things that I found fascinating with this book, but also at the same time was very skeeved out reading it. So Mike, what were some of those bullet points?
Yeah, for sure. What's that?
I said, I hope you don't steal mine. I got one.
How about this? I'll give 2, and then I'll pass it over to you 2, so I don't steal all your. And then we can come back later to me. Janet Vaughan is someone I wanted to talk about. Yes, I could read a whole biography about her. That was amazing. I didn't love the way the author sort of started with her, went away and talked about a bunch of dudes for half a chapter, and then came back to her. That's not the way my brain works real well. And I found myself consistently comparing her to how Mary Roach writes. Mary Roach kind of writes and then moves on to the next one. And the other thing, and this is my issue with the book, I like the footnotes on the page, and I constantly had to flip to the back of the note for the footnotes. And anyway, but Janet Vaughan, I could read 2 books about Janet Vaughan. And my other one, which I think I mentioned in the Discord, the Ancient Order of Druids being a thing, and collecting tinfoil and doing other. Because to me, druids it's 2 things. One, I play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a druid. I turn into a bear. Whatever. Or it's the people that actually get to be at Stonehenge twice a year and actually get to approach Stonehenge, which has been all roped off since I was a kid. I've touched one of the henges because I'm old enough to have been able to do that, but you can't do that anymore unless you're a druid. So like just the chapter on the ancient order of druids was kind of cool for me, and I will pass along before I steal everyone else's.
No, I love it. Thank you, Steph.
So this is super specific, but the one thing that I learned that I had no idea is whatever the conspiracy is that's going on with Canadian paid plasma clinics. What the actual hell is that? I had no idea. So my brain, I thought
I'm listening. I'm gonna let him in.
we were donating plasma for some sort of use. To learn that it just goes in a freezer to sit there because we can't do anything with it, for why? Why are we doing it then? I do not understand. And I'm like, what? How are you making money then? Because you're paying people for this. You have to pay to operate this. And you aren't doing anything with the product that you are getting because you can't, because the federal agency that runs the blood system here won't buy it from you. And we don't have any fractioning factories, whatever they are. We don't have the infrastructure to make drugs or anything out of plasma. So I was like, what the hell is happening here?
The incentive part of things too is interesting, and how putting up some of those centers in like impoverished areas to incentivize people to donate because they get money, and like incentivizing would sometimes cause people to lie about health concerns as well. So that was kind of new to me. I guess I assumed how the system was probably not as safe previously as I thought, but yeah, the incentivization was an interesting part for me as well. But yeah, what's the Canadians doing up there, man? What's going on?
It literally sits on a shelf in the freezer. So the pay for plasma clinics are new, like very new, within the last 5-6 years new. We never used to have paid plasma donation. We, through Canadian Blood Services, which is our current federal organization who operates the blood donation for whole blood, and they have plasma donation, and they also operate our stem cell donation nationally. It used to be the Red Cross, but then the Red Cross done messed up, and they got it taken away from them, and Canadian Blood Services was made. But so all the hospitals, because hospitals are regulated at the provincial level, which would be the same as being operated at the state level, have agreements with Canadian Blood Services to get blood products to use in medications, in surgeries, in whatever they need it for. And it can only come from them. So these pay for plasma clinics would have to either make a deal with Canadian Blood Services to buy plasma from them, which regularly Canadian Blood Services shuts down plasma donation because they have too much plasma. So they don't actually need it from this other company. And because we don't have any facilities that can do the fracturing or the fractioning that's needed, whatever it's called, the processing to make the drugs out of the plasma products, we can't do it for research and medication either, because the only places that exists is in the States. And we are not federally, there is a law where we can't sell body parts, including blood and organs, internationally. So it sits in a freezer until it gets too old, and then it presumably gets thrown out.
Presumably.
But we are paying people for it. So I have no idea how these places are running a profit.
Yeah.
It sounds like a big conspiracy theory in my head.
Yeah, the money doesn't make sense, like if that's
Right?
happening. So there has to be something else going on, right?
Yeah, that's
exactly.
It's a front for money laundering or something.
It has to be. It has to be.
Well, Alyssa, did we steal any of your bullet points for what you learned?
No, leeches have 9 pairs of testicles. That's what I learned.
Why do you think I need to wear extra large shorts, Alyssa? I mean,
That's hysterical. Yeah, I was like the leeches chapter was my favorite because I was
It
like,
was
this is
so good.
awesome. I was like, this is awesome. 10 stomachs, cool. And then she was like, 9 testicles. And I was like, okay. All right. Yeah, I thought that part was interesting. So that's what I learned. Leech.
Yeah. Leech. It's funny you said that because shout out to my friend Annalise. I'm gonna put her on the spot here. She mentioned that at the Mooresville meeting, and I guess I just completely breezed over that part of the book because she said it, and everybody was like, "Yeah, that was interesting," and I'm like,
Wait, what?
"What?" I missed that entirely.
It is the one fact from this book that I have told multiple people. Like, hey, did you guys know about leeches?
The leeches chapter was interesting for me too because I didn't realize it was still used.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that. Oh, look at that. Winston wants out. Fucking shocking.
Free him.
Oh, no.
Patches, you're so mean, keeping the cat in. Cat didn't want to come in.
Sorry, it's somebody. Come on. It's Ruger. His Christmas sweater.
Oh,
Oh,
adorable.
handsome boy.
You want to show everybody? It says Happy Holidays. You and your sister have matching ones, but your sister doesn't like it. The fact that we still use leeches, the fact that there's different leeches for different purposes, fascinating to me. Fascinating to me. That's not your food, sir.
I have a good story for leeches.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh boy.
That involved your
story.
time.
Here we go.
Are we back in the things that happened to Mikey as a child?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. I didn't know where to put it, but this is a good place. You get to do what surprised you, and when it rolls back to me, I'll give my leech story.
Yeah, that's honestly. There's Janet Maria Vaughn. She was fascinating to me. I didn't know anything about that, and I, again, like you said, I could use a couple books on her, and I don't even know if they exist. I guess when it just comes to I'm glad Jehovah's Witnesses were brought up. I knew obviously that they do not subscribe to the idea of blood transfusions, or at least a certain amount of it. So I'm glad that that was brought up. Something that I was surprised about personally was the chapter of the women in Nepal. And yes, that they escape often, and then they can run. Yeah, those things are like walking sharps. Yeah, and yeah, plastic surgery. When it talks about Nepal women being ostracized for being on their period, having to sleep, and even though it's illegal, but people still get away with it. I'm surprised there wasn't anything mentioned about Orthodox Judaism and anything like with the mikvah and stuff like that. I'm surprised that wasn't. It's not anything that I learned, but I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned. But yeah, the also the Code Red chapter was really fascinating to me because it was interesting how far paramedics will go to save somebody, because a part of me was like, wow, they're like spending a lot of time with, not that they wouldn't, but like a part of me was like, wow, can I help you? What do you need? What do you need? Nothing. I was just surprised at how much they tried, and that's silly for me to think, being surprised that they tried, but it was anyway. So there's a lot of just little details here and there, but specifically the leeches chapter is probably the most fascinating because I had no idea that they're still used. I had no idea how many different species they are.
Buddy,
nothing's happening. You just want my
like
leftover.
leeches.
You just want my steak bits. You can't have those. Anyway, I would love to hear more of your bullet points and how leeches somehow got on you as a child.
So they didn't, but it was close. It was real close. So 13-year-old Mikey in home economics class. Do we still have that in junior high school?
We might.
And 30, it's called, I guess it's now middle school. It was junior high when I was there.
They don't teach them children nothing, and I know.
I know. Yeah.
Outside.
Yes. As our librarian of record on here. Yes.
Your librarian, baby.
Yeah. Much applause. So I was sewing and I do know how to sew, and I can sew a button back on a shirt, which is good. That served me well in places. But I was 13-year-old, and I was making something. I think it was polar fleece and putting an edging on it or something. And the teacher happened to come by me as I was feeding it through a zigzag stitch. And if you know a zigzag stitch, the needle moves. And I looked up, and as you look up, your hands move to the side. And I sewed my finger right through. I'm not going to, give you all the finger, but right through this finger, right there. And it went through a couple of times and then stuck. And it is the weirdest feeling to have your hand do something that you can't control. So my body started doing this, and I'm still looking up at the teacher. There's no pain. But yes, the sewing machine needle went all the way through my finger. Oh yeah, I mean, 13-year-old Mikey, I was adorable. And I had to be taken to the hospital because you couldn't get the needle, like literally was all the way through my finger. Okay. So they took me to the hospital, and they were very concerned because the tip of my finger was becoming blue. And the doctor, before he started, he needed to anesthetize my hand to get this thing out. And he turned to the nurse and said, "Get something." And I couldn't quite hear what he was saying. Or get something ready, get something on tap. And I was at, as Steph may or may not know, this would have been Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, where I lived at the time. What they were prepping was a leech for my finger in case it had done something to the artery or the vein or whatever runs through your finger, and to make sure the blood would start flowing again. If my finger, once they'd removed the needle, had not turned its normal pinky red all over again, they would have put a leech on me. And they had them ready and waiting to go. This was in Canada.
Wild.
So thankfully, the finger... yes, when healthcare is free, they pull out leeches. It was close. I almost had my leech experience.
Well, I guess that's better than your jellyfish story. So
it is much better than my jellyfish story. Sorry for those of you who missed that 9 or 10 months ago.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't need to repeat it, but I was stung in one of my 9 testicles by a jellyfish when I was a 2-year-old.
Yeah, you could probably put the pieces together on that one.
Yeah. Wasn't good, I'm told. How did they take it out? Literally, the guy brought a freaking wrench that you screwed down and had to hold my hand down with his elbow and yank the damn thing out. Thankfully, he had anesthetized me, so I couldn't feel anything. But yes, yanked the damn thing out. Yeah.
They probably took that off the ambulance.
Yeah, probably. It was probably in the mechanics bay, wherever.
Oh no, they have them in the back of the ambulance for when you have to cut certain items of clothing off of people's bodies to do stuff like that. They also have wire cutters that are fucking massive.
I believe you. Yeah. So that's my leech story, which was interesting. I've got a rabies story when we do rabies in a couple of months. So
yikes.
yeah. Again, this one thankfully didn't happen to me.
Lives.
I know. This is what happens when you're old and you lived a rough and tumble young
type of
life. Yeah. I deep dove into artificial blood, which we're going to talk about in a little while. So I'll save that for later. There is still, by the way, no artificial blood allowable by the FDA. I think it is here.
You're vegan vampires.
Yeah, I know. But I love the fact that in the chapter, it's the last chapter of the book. So if you DNF'd it, you didn't get there.
No, or if you just go back and listen to just that chapter.
Yeah. The 9th chapter was interesting. It was not racist or homophobic or transphobic at all, which is great. It's a great chapter. Yes. Rose George referenced True Blood, the HBO show, which of course I frickin' love because I'm half a vampire. So and talked about historical vampires and all that. It was a really neat chapter.
Vampires were interesting. I was not expecting that.
I know.
They will come up in the rabies book as well.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Do not recommend the rabies vaccine. Yeah, we have a couple of people Oh, that's awesome. Who have had it? I know True Blood was mentioned. It was awesome, Hannah. And it was funny because earlier in the week before I read the chapter, I was sick this week. I had this cold, flu, nastiness, and I just made a comment in our Discord that I was going to bathe in the blood of the younglings, and that's how I'm going to get to feel better. And then they exactly talked about like Elizabeth Bathory and some of the others that do that in that last chapter. So that was fun. I learned some stuff in there. The other thing was the Canadian tainted blood epidemic.
Yes.
In the 90s. I didn't know anything about that because I'd moved to the States by then. I figured Steph would have a lot of information on that. Yeah. So that's all I have to say about my next couple of bullet points. But it was neat to read. Oh, and also how the audiobook apparently pronounced Saskatchewan or Saskatoon. I don't know which one set you off, Steph.
Both, both and Quebec. They called it Quebec.
Oh, Quebec.
I was like, that's what? But Saskatchewan was so butchered that I had to stop and I was like, what was that supposed to be? Like I had to stop and listen really close because I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It was like Saskatchewan. And I was like, who, what?
I know the audiobook narrator was British and some people were pointing out some things, but yes, when it comes to cities, yes. I did not listen to the audiobook. I mostly just read with my eyeballs, but that was brought up. You said something, Mike, and I've already forgotten, but I also the xenotransfusion, right? That's what's called. Was interesting. All the way from like I think it was certain places. I want to say Romans, but also Rose George on the podcast mentioned another place that where they a tale as old as time, right? Where they like thought because I'm losing blood, I'm just going to drink it, type thing. All the way to like experimentation with
cow's blood.
Such. God, I just broke out goosebumps.
Oh, wait till you find out about Richard Chase.
Do I want to know? What the hell?
It's an interesting true crime story.
Oh, Richard Chase.
I don't know him.
The Vampire. Did he drink blood?
Oh, the Vampire Sacramento. Yeah. Gross.
Very, very sick man. Not like, and I don't mean it in like a derogatory way. Like he was very mentally ill. So it's a very sad story, but fascinating.
The Dracula killer. What were we on? Question? What is something we learned? We already did all that.
Yeah, unless Steph and Alyssa have more things they learned or.
Leeches have 9 pairs of testicles. That's
that's all you needed to know. Honestly, that's all.
I love that. That's. The one thread I did want to pick up was, Patches, when you were doing your rating, you were mentioning that you thought there was some parts that were really long. Mm-hmm. And I know in the Discord, everybody mentioned that they thought chapter 3 was too long. And I actually disagree.
Is that World War II chapter? Because I disagree as well.
That was the chapter. It was a little bit World War II and a little bit, it was basically the history of how the voluntary blood donation system works and came to be. And yes, it was long. I will say it was long, but I really did feel that because blood donation as a voluntary system, as someone who operates in a voluntary system, it hasn't changed since it was established very much at all, with the exception of like a few things because of the tainted blood crisis and the Creever report and such other things. If you ever want to sit down and read 1,200 pages of a lot, that's an interesting read.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Mike on that chapter where I feel like we bounced around a little bit too much between Janet and then like a couple of the other people, but that's probably one of my favorite chapters where I think even though we bounced around, it did ultimately always come back to Janet. So there was always, it always reconnected, but at the same time, I'm not judging people for saying this too. I just was saying I respectfully disagree because that's one of the more fascinating chapters for me personally. But I'll agree with Ashley here saying like every chapter felt a little too long. That I do agree with.
Yes.
That I do agree with. So something that really surprised me, which I did not know, and Mike, you could probably speak onto this more because I feel like this was primarily in the chapter about India when it comes to how certain cultures, countries, and people in general donate blood. So my question would be, were you at all surprised at some of the ways? But Mike specifically, I know we talked about this a little bit before. It sounds like you probably weren't. You probably knew that that was more of a thing where a lot of it is voluntary. It's all voluntary, but it's more so family members doing it. There's really no system. It's more so just people you know. It's not like a societal. It's not seen as like a societal good, or is it? Kind of walk me through that.
No, it's almost necessary.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ashy. That's Kelsey.
Oh, Kelsey. I know I recognize that name, and the little picture looks
The
like
picture.
Kelsey.
Yeah, I should have picked up on the picture.
Yes. So I have a couple interesting ones. I spent a lot of time in India when I worked for Yahoo. I would go for 3-4 weeks at a time just because it's so bloody far away, and I'd work, and then I'd come back for a few weeks, and then I'd go. And also, in a previous life, my dad did the same thing with Kodak, except he would go for months at a time. So my family has sort of a spiritual connection with India, and I love it there. So I learned a lot about the culture. I was all over India. I was in the north, the south, the east, the west. Like I was in some of the towns that they mentioned, and very much like I think it's probably a bit of a problem with the writer being British, and the Brits bring sort of an attitude towards India to it. They're a lot more advanced than you think. Like most of the technology at this point, we make fun of it. If you talk to a call center, it's probably in India. Yeah, but so are most of the engineers who are building all these products we use today. So it's an amazing place. I really do feel that. But let me skip India and do Brazil, because Brazil, they do exactly the same thing that they talked about, that Rose George talked about in India, which is when a family member has a surgery, that the family goes in and gives blood specifically to replace the family member surgery. So we were in Brazil, Amanda and I, weeks ago, and we tried to get blood for her aunt who's undergoing some cancer treatment. And they wouldn't let me donate blood for a very strange reason, and that is my mother is not on the rolls of it. It's sort of a what do you call that? It's not maternal, matrilineal, the blood system in Brazil. So your mother has to have either been in a hospital or given blood or done the Brazilian national service or something for you to be able to give blood. Obviously, my mother is not Brazilian, so I couldn't give blood. But like they had to replace 30 pints of blood for my chia, and they got it. Like the entire family kicks in, and like cousins, and like it's what brings families together. In Brazil, when someone gets sick and needs surgery, you get like cousins out of the woodwork donating blood, and I think it's amazing. I was really pleased, and it's all voluntary. There's no paid blood donations. There's no paid plasma in Brazil. And they get, like, I think Rose George quotes like 3% of people in the US donate blood. It's about 90% in Brazil at some point over like a 5-year span. It's a very, very large percentage, because one of your cousins, because Brazil's sort of a weird Catholic country, so they have lots of babies and lots of cousins, and so someone in that family is going to get sick and need a blood transfusion, so everyone goes in and donates blood, and it's wonderful.
Voluntary.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, they try to make it slightly involuntary. They're like, your aunt might not get her surgery if we don't get enough blood, but they always give the surgery. Like, it's just the way to get everyone in, and it works. It works.
I think, honestly, that was the thing that during kind of some of those chapters, that was the piece that was really interesting to me, was blood donation is higher in places like India and Brazil because you know who you're helping. Yeah. Whereas here, we have a really big problem. It's super funny because every single time that we were talking about this book in the Discord, I would get a freaking phone call or an email from Canadian Blood Services being like, your donation could save a life. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm not eligible right now, so sorry. But it's because our system, just like the UK system, is a voluntary donor system that's anonymous. I have no idea where my blood goes and who it helps when I donate. People don't donate. And then at the same time, on top of it being completely anonymous, the questioning that is asked of you is incredibly extensive and very it gives an air of interrogation, and I know that it's because it has to be safe, but it's a big burden to people in terms of the things they have to go through in order to donate blood anonymously to not know who they're helping, versus the higher rates that you get in places like Brazil, where you just show up and you're like, here for my auntie.
Yeah. All you needed was the name, and there were a series of questions. You couldn't have traveled to a certain number of countries in the last 90 days. If you were a man, you couldn't have had sex with a man in the last 30 days. I know. It just.
I want to get into that.
Please.
Because actually, I really want to get into that, but we'll hold on a minute.
Okay. Yeah, but the questions were not really invasive. Yeah, and of course they ask you, have you been diagnosed with hepatitis or HIV or like one of the 7 or 8 things that are bloodborne. But yeah, the whole, yeah, okay. I'll leave that to you for later. I'm poking the bear tonight. I love this.
You really are. But the interesting thing is, so the reason I want to get into it is because Canada just actually changed our blood donation questionnaire last September in 2024 to be more inclusive. So now, instead of only asking men all of those really uncomfortable questions about the type of sex that they're having, we just ask everybody.
Oh, I think that's fair, actually.
It's honestly,
if you ask the question, ask it to everyone.
Yes, based on the science, which it has taken them literally so long to change this. They've been working on changing this for at least a decade. The big stopping point was Health Canada was like, you need to prove that it's safe. But the science really is that most of the new HIV infections in North America are actually straight couples. There is still really high rates of HIV in the queer community. That's not incorrect. And anal sex is still the riskiest way to transmit HIV. But the queer community at least knows that this is a problem and this is a risk and this is something that happens in our community. Whereas straight people just don't get tested. Like, they just don't think it's important. A lot of, especially young straight people, like college age, university age, and like older teenagers, like they're just like, well, it's fine. I don't need to, like, I'm invincible. I don't need to do that. And so that's where we're seeing a rise in infection. And also there are some new habits of people who use drugs that are also increasing the rates of infections. And it's interesting that she focused so much on South Africa in the HIV chapter, because that's actually where a lot of this new habit with people who use drugs is happening. It's happening a lot in Thailand, in South Africa, and in a couple of other places. But what people are doing, because drugs are so hard to get and so expensive, is one person will do drugs. So like, for example, I'm going to use needles as the thing because that's kind of what's happening. So people will go get heroin. They will shoot up the heroin. They will then withdraw some of their own blood to give to their buddy for a contact high, like a secondhand high. Yeah. So they're sharing a needle and they're sharing blood with each other. And so obviously the rates of bloodborne illnesses and infections like HIV, hepatitis, etc., are skyrocketing because people are just doing this crazy dangerous thing because they are sick and they need to get their fix.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Super crazy. But also it is still, one of the things is, like, yes, technically Canada is doing quote unquote better with their blood donation questionnaire, and it's slightly less anti-gay, where it used to be very anti-gay. It's still very anti-trans.
Sure.
They are very much, in terms of inclusion, they're really behind the bar on that. And it's like, they're really obsessed with like what's going on with your genitalia and all of that, which is like really, really friggin' problematic.
Yeah.
And they're very like, they don't understand pronouns, they don't understand dead names. It's like a whole thing. So if your name is different on your stuff, also they're like asking these questions, especially about names, pronouns, and gender identity. Like, no, open room. Like, it's, you walk up to a counter where there's like three stations. It's really unfortunate. They say they're trying, but again, they've told the queer community that they've been trying for years and they're incredibly untransparent, which was something that it was interesting that the author also was like, Canadian Blood Services was not transparent. And I was like, well, you are also talking to a federal agency. Does your federal government talk very openly about you and let you ask whatever questions you want? Because ours doesn't. And our system's based on your system. So I don't know what's happening there or what you thought was going to happen. This isn't the Red Cross. Like, it's not just a volunteer nonprofit organization. This is a federal agency, which a lot of people don't understand because they think it's a nonprofit because it's, you know, they advertise so much because they desperately need people.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of those things were not discussed, I think, in length like
Exactly.
they should have been.
Yes. That was my other biggest issue was some of the science pieces, like, which is where I appreciate how Mary Roach writes a lot, because if she doesn't know the science, she gets a scientist who knows the science. I felt like this was also not necessarily just the author's fault. I really felt like this was an editing fault as well, because this should have been caught in the editing process. There was several qualifiers put in front of scientific facts that we know that made the fact misleading. The two examples that I wrote down, because I was furious just based on who I am, what I do, the communities I'm part of, and then also my job, was she put "as far as we know" in front of the U equals U scientific fact, which is that undetectable is untransmittable, which is an HIV thing. That's not as far as we know. That's a scientific proven fact. It has been peer reviewed hundreds of times. If you are undetectable as a viral load, if you have HIV, you cannot transmit it to people. There's no questions about that. And I thought that putting "as far as we know" in front of it was really sketchy, because that, to me, on top of the fact that the entire chapter had a tone of fear and judgment that I could tell that the author herself was really uncomfortable with HIV as an illness, and she was very scared of it and unfamiliar with it, and was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get it. And I'm like, no, you're not. Relax, please. Unless you are like injecting someone else's blood into you or doing something real weird while you're being a journalist, you're not gonna get it. Please relax and take this objectively as a fact. And the other one was during the period chapters where she offhand, I don't even remember what the exact quote was, but she talked about how there's a possible link to poor menstrual hygiene as a cause for cancer. And I was just like, as a hospice like, I'm a hospice social worker for those who don't know me. But my mom is also works in cancer. My aunts work in cancer. I come from a very medical family, so I've been steeped in this medical knowledge for like my entire life. That's not how cancer works. Cancer is a mutation of your cell reproduction. You can't get cancer you can get increased risk of cancer from behavioral and lifestyle things, and some things like smoking, obviously. But poor menstrual hygiene does not mean that you're going to get cervical cancer or ovarian cancer. That's not how that works. What's actually probably happening with India's high rates of cervical cancer is that they probably have a really high transmission rate of HPV, which is a cause of cervical cancer. but that's an STI. So that's a condom use issue. And in North America and the UK, et cetera, other places, we have a vaccine for HPV that's pushed in schools.
Yeah, I had to do that.
Gardasil. It hurt like hell. I'm old enough that I didn't have to get it in school because it was new enough that they hadn't put it in schools yet. I had to go to the doctor and get it because my mom was like, you're getting this.
Yeah. Oh, dude, if a scientist approached my mother and said, hey, we just created this vaccine and we need a guinea pig, my mother would have been like, here's my daughter.
Oh no.
I got every shot under the sun. Yes, definitely some weird uncomfy vibes.
Yes, very much so, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. And I think we can go ahead and mention the fact that we did find some troubling, I guess, things that we don't agree with, and the Morbidly Curious Book Club as a whole collective does not agree with. That the author is blatantly transphobic on socials and Substack, and that is unfortunately something that was discovered kind of after the fact, so I do apologize for that, but I think some of that verbiage and some of the things in the book I kind of picked up on while I was reading it, and of course afterwards somebody on the Discord, which by the way, we keep mentioning the Discord. If you join the book club, it's pinned as a top message on the book club's website that we use. So if you just go to our website, click on join the book club, and then once you're a part of it, just click messages and it'll be pinned if you guys would like to join the discussion over there. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And I was reading this book and I noted that there were a lot of times where the verbiage just felt very, very binary and one-sided, I guess you would say. When you read a book like Mary Roach, and Mary Roach is always very inclusive in her writing. And so it's just something that I picked up on. So that's unfortunate, and I do apologize.
It also kind of feels like she just doesn't like women. I really got the vibe, like very and very like during the HIV chapters, there was a sense of like victim blaming that I kept getting, especially
I was getting that a lot.
Rape and sexual assault. I was like, why are we talking like this? And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I ultimately decided to stop reading the book. But it was the HIV chapter that really did it for me. I made it a chapter or two after that, but I just couldn't. And then when I was thinking about trying to finish it until I found out that she was a TERF, and then I was like, goodbye.
Yeah, you're absolutely dead on there, Alyssa. Like that chapter was tough.
As a fan of women.
Yeah.
That chapter was really hard. And then I literally wrote in my notes that I'm looking at on my phone, because I went on for like a long time about the HIV chapter, and then I went tainted blood chapter, and the first note is I didn't realize I could get more mad about this book. But then she started, but I could, and I tried to approach that chapter I tried to put my own bias aside of the amount that I know about the tainted blood crisis. When I was in my second undergrad getting my social work degree, one of the projects that we had to do was we had to take a Canadian health crisis and build a educational website about it. So I had to put like all kinds of stuff. So I decided to do the tainted blood crisis.
Oh, wow.
It was super fascinating. I read the entire Creever report because I don't remember how I heard about the tainted blood crisis, but I heard about it. I also, like, as I vaguely mentioned, but I'll just like out and say it, I am a member of the queer community. So obviously the AIDS crisis is a big deal to this community, because we lost so many people. But my biggest gripe with the tainted blood chapter was the fact that she took this weird side tangent into the high rates of bloodborne illnesses, particularly hepatitis C and HIV, in Canada's Indigenous population, which is what we call Native Americans. And she provided no context for that. And it made me very mad because the reason that the rates are so high is because we deny Indigenous people healthcare as a way to oppress them.
I don't like it.
Very uncool.
Oh, it's awful. It's fucking horrible. But it's a thing that we've done. It's a thing that started with colonization. So I was like, you're going to come here as a British person. You're going to say this. And this is partially on you and your people. And you're not going to acknowledge it. I get that it's probably not taught, which is something that my fellow chapter people brought up to me because I was just on a tirade. I sound very level about it now. I was really not level about it yesterday.
You got it all out. So
exactly. I got the aggressiveness out because I was just like, this was awful.
I need to talk to Sherry. I need to hear all about this.
Where's Sherry in the comments?
Yeah.
Hopefully
I don't know. I haven't seen Sherry in the comments yet.
Hopefully somebody filmed it. Film it next time.
Yeah.
I was just very much. I thought it was so.
You should join the Toronto chapter. It's a bunch of wonderful people.
It is. We're all great. I love every single person in that book club in our chapter. It's great. But it's very much a thing. And then we also have a reserve system, which I believe America also has a reserve system.
Yeah, it's similar.
Okay, cool. It's similar. And we've put them all in like the shittiest parts of every province where it's basically impossible. It's basically you have no access to services, or if you do, they're very minimal. You're forced, like in some of these reserve systems, especially the further north you go, women are actually forced to fly out of their reserve when they're pregnant because they don't have the resources to give birth on reserve. There is not enough healthcare to do that. So there's also no way that they have the amounts of testing for these infections, that they have the infrastructure to do like any of this stuff. So I thought that context being provided was actually really necessary. And the fact that she just spewed out these facts and then moved on, I was like, whoa. No. Accountability. We need to actually say this because it's important. And it is our fault as settlers. Like that's a thing that we did and still continue to do to oppress people. And we need to say it.
We need to say it. We need to take accountability for this.
I was going to say something, but it was going to be really rude.
Well, now
to Rose George. Sorry, Rose George.
Oh, no, it's fine. Open season.
I've just also decided that she's like, I'm like, oh, so you're transphobic and also a racist? Got it.
Yep.
I was talking with Patches a little beforehand. My dad is British. In fact, my dad's from Slough, which they mentioned. She mentions in the book with the Janet Vaughan chapter. Slough was like the savior of London in World War II because of the blood supply, and they were just willing to go anywhere. Now, Slough is a very working class part of London. It's where Heathrow is, and it's where the British office was. So the American office was in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Same vibe. And my dad's family believed they were much better than they were. And it's a problem that a lot of Brits have. It's a very tight class system, and everyone wants to be in the upper crust, and no one is. And I have not heard of Make Slough Happy, but I will look it up. Thanks, Candace. Where was I going with this? Yeah. So I think she has that same British white woman, I'm better than all these people, and it just like you could feel it ooze out when she talked about Nepal or India or Saskatchewan, which she can't pronounce. It just that's what started the feelings for me. I'm like, did we need to talk about the backup boyfriends, and did we need to and the fact that she felt the need to correct someone who said India has the highest rate of the highest amount of cervical cancer in the world. No, well, it's actually 20th. Malawi has the worst. But if you actually look at the raw numbers, India has the most people diagnosed with cervical cancer every year. It's either India or China. And yeah, that makes sense because there are 1.5 billion people in India, right?
Right.
Like it's just,
Mhm.
it's weighted that way. It's not the rate, but it's the number. In which case, the doctor in India who gave Rose George that piece of information was absolutely correct. Why correct it? Why be whatever? So yeah, just I want to smack her
Why
around a
can't
little
all
bit.
be winners?
I know. No. But again, I really don't want you to feel bad about this. There's so much interesting stuff in this
Yep.
book, and we all learn something. And it's
Leeches. 9
leeches.
testicles.
Leeches, man. Something about this book
Leeches.
club and leeches.
I know.
Yeah. There is
Uh,
something about us and leeches.
yes, that's my paid political.
Yeah, this gives us time to talk about one of my favorite fiction books of all time that I made the
Leech.
Morbidly Curious Fiction Edition book club read earlier this year over on the Patreon, which is Leech by Hiron Ennis. And Hiron Ennis just recently came out with another book called The Works of Vermin back in October. And we had a bonus discussion of Works of Vermin, and Mike was able to get Hiron on the call with us. So we got to gush about not only Works of Vermin, their latest work, but also Leech, which is like one of my all-time favorite books. So this is
And Hiron is
not
amazing.
paid. Everybody needs to go read Leech and go support Hiron Ennis.
Yes.
I need to
I'm
try
so
Leech
looking-
again when I'm in like a place to actually read it.
The
Yeah.
cold weather definitely helps.
Yeah, because when I read it, it was over the summer. I was traveling, and I just like I'm a big mood reader, and so I got like 100 pages in, and I was like, I don't think I can read this right now. So I stopped. I don't want to say I DNF'd it more than I paused it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a January book.
Yeah,
You know what
okay.
I did that with?
I'll
I
try
did
again.
that with this one. This
New
was
year, new me.
a couple of months ago, and I'm also a mood reader, and I couldn't get through it at the time, and I picked it up again, and I started reading it, and it's awesome. I just needed to be in the right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see I'm almost done.
Marianne in the comments. Sorry,
Yes,
I'm going to put us back on topic.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Marianne in the comments just
yes.
put this, and this was my other thing about. So she mentioned about the Tuskegee syphilis research that was done. The quote unquote, this was like Tuskegee happened before research ethics were a thing. For context, my other job is that I'm a research coordinator at a university. So every day I deal with ethics.
You're so cool.
Yes, you are. We love you,
By
Steph.
the time Steph talks, I'm always like, man, what am I doing with my life?
I want to be Steph.
I don't know how this happened to me. Okay, I just ended up here. University academia. I just somehow got here, and I'm staying here until I guess I'm done with it. Anyway, this was a thing where she said, like, she implied very heavily that the subject signed up. She did this in the Tainted Blood chapter as well when she was speaking about the Arkansas prison. She made those inmates sound like volunteers to give blood. And the interesting thing about that, because that blood did ended up in the UK, but it also ended up in Canada. The interesting thing is that warden at that prison was giving substantial incentives. So to the point where these people actually couldn't say no because it would make their lives so much worse. Like incentives of like reduced sentences for the, like, you would get time off for the amount of blood that you gave. You would get extra commissary money, extra privileges, all of these things that would make your life better in prison. And these people were there for life. Like they were on death row. So anything that's going to make either they were on death row or they were in there for, 25 to life. They were long time prison inmates. They didn't really have a choice, because the thing about informed consent, which is required of a voluntary blood donation system, is that you cannot be unduly influenced by outside forces. That's an undue influence.
Yeah.
And same with Tuskegee, where they were genuinely, once we found penicillin and discovered that we could treat syphilis, the people who were primary investigators of the Tuskegee experiment decided that they couldn't give penicillin to the participants because that would null their research, because everybody would get better. And we really want to know what happens with neurosyphilis. So they just didn't. And the study continued for 40 more years where they didn't tell these people that they could be cured of this thing that they basically killed them of. And on top of that, they also told them they were treating them, and they weren't, because exactly what Michael just said, like they wanted to watch the disease progress and they wanted to make notes. And so they just did all of this and they lied to people, and people thought they were being treated with the best top of the line treatments. And in reality, they were just being watched. So I thought that could have been, personally, I was like, this is where the nuance comes in, and where like you need to spend some time and actually unpack some of these pieces instead of giving it a couple of sentences and glossing over. Because while, yes, somebody who doesn't know the level of insane amount of knowledge that I have on these things, like, I still think it's important for people who aren't familiar with either Tuskegee, with the tainted blood crisis, with any of these things, with any of these
Constantly
think,
in my head.
I know, same.
Sorry, Steph.
I think that's okay. I think that those things are really important to share with people, because that's how we keep people kind of accountable. Like, research ethics exists because of Tuskegee, because of the Stanford prison experiment, Milgram, like all of those super famous psych experiments. Research ethics exists because of them.
Yep.
I started laughing at the worst time because I saw that you mentioned Michael's handle, which is just Michael needs sleep, which I giggled at as we're talking. So I apologize. It keeps happening where I just start giggling because I see something at the worst possible times.
That's totally okay.
Christopher did not hit his head this time, so I didn't laugh at a really inappropriate part, but
Oh, that was funny.
He asked me that the other day. He was like, is there any way you could take like a clip of something that happened in one of your live shows and post it on your socials, like repurpose it? I'm like, you mean you hitting your head on the sink? And he was like, never mind.
Yeah. Bonk.
Talk about bonk. Well, to wrap it up, what's next? We talk about synthetic blood in the book and how that's probably the next big thing, but also the book eerily, which somebody brought up in the Discord, also eerily talks about how this was written prior to 2020, talks about how there's going to be something coming in like the next 50 years.
Here it is.
Here it is. 2 years. Barely 2 years. So anyway, what do we think?
First, can I plug the Discord for those of you in the chat? The Discord's an amazing place. We don't just talk about nonfiction books. We talk about hockey, and we talk about theater, and we talk about spicy stuff. And there's lots of stuff going on in the Discord. If you just feel like sitting and chatting with a bunch of nerds, like hopefully you are, like we are, it's a great place to just sit and chill. It's well modded, I guess moderated is the right word. Yeah, so we don't get like crazy shit going on in there. It's just a fun, safe place to be. So that's my hockey can get morbid. Thank you, Candace.
It really can.
Yeah, we someone posted a video of someone losing a tooth in the hockey game.
Oh, anyway. There was a couple weeks ago while we were reading this book, someone's neck got sliced with a skate again.
Yeah.
Again.
Again. Wear a neck guard.
It's a fun place.
I know.
It's a fun place, I promise. Everything is, there's different discussions of books, and there's different discussions of book series if you guys are into that. And there's also ways for you to meet some like-minded friends if that is something you'd be interested in. But
I love Discord.
Yeah,
we do get morbid on there sometimes, but yes, at the same time we also do just talk about hockey. When I say talk about hockey, we should probably specify complain about our teams more
Yes,
than
we
anything.
mostly complain about our teams.
Yes, pretty much. We also talk about baseball and football, and occasionally I'll bring up English football that no one answers me because I'm the
I
only
think
one who
Mike's
apparently
having
likes
conversation with
English
himself
football.
on that one.
I am, you know. So synthetic blood, I deep dived on because it was so interesting to me, and we're still not there. Like we're not ready yet. But I love this one that they talked about. I don't know if she mentioned it in the book, but erythromer, which is a powder that oh, go away, Nora. We don't want to hear about your teams. Either of your teams.
Is it related to
No, we don't.
erythromycin?
See, a Boston Bruins and a
No,
Washington Capitals
erythromycin's
fan.
different.
Okay.
That's an
Because
antibiotic.
Okay, because I was like,
Oh, wait,
the
right.
names were very similar.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
They
yeah.
are.
Erythromer. It's powder. So the great thing about a powder is all you have to do is mix it with water, and suddenly you have a blood substitute, right? You can put it right in. It's like the clear. I forget what they call it in the books. The name has escaped me now.
Celluloid.
Yeah.
Or no, that one's the crystalloid. The yellowish one is the
Crystalloid.
celluloid.
Yeah, crystalloid is the clear
So
one.
glad
But-
I have smart friends.
I got you. I don't even like
know a lot
work
about
with that
children's
stuff.
books.
Yeah, but it's so cool because now they can give it to soldiers who are just out in the battlefield where you typically can't carry
Mhm.
liquids around because you're jumping into things and dodging gunfire and shit. Crystal light. Thank you, Hannah.
That's funny. Oh, Blood Neo.
Oh, we're
That's so
getting blood
good.
jokes. Anyway, I'm very excited about it, and it's the company is called Kalocite with K and then a C, KalocYte. Hang on.
Mhm.
This is where I read about it. Let me put it in the comment thing here. Oops, failed to post. I guess I can't post links.
Facebook sometimes do that error, but it should still work on YouTube.
Okay.
Everybody in the comments has jokes, and I love it.
Vampire MREs?
Kalocite is the company.
Oh,
If you want to do some research, I think it's really cool. It's not FDA approved yet, in testing. I don't know if that's the long-term thing that hospitals are going to use, but I think it's good to stick in ambulances and on soldiers and things like that.
Exactly, because blood is very volatile as a storage. Like that was something that was really interesting throughout the book. It started in chapter 3 and then it continued in the trauma chapter.
Yeah.
That even the way that we used to store blood, like the bags we store it in, had to be figured out because blood is such a volatile substance. So having like a powder that you can, for the lack of a better term, I'm going to use Hannah's term, crystal light it, just shake it into some normal saline, because that stuff it'd have to be sterile.
Sterile water, yeah. That's what it
would be helpful and interesting.
I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm not an idiot, but when it comes to certain medical things, I'm pretty dumb with this kind of stuff. I'm a film student, okay? The way that they would, okay, so if, hypothetically speaking, using the soldier analogy, soldier injured, they procure this powder, creating the crystallite blood, and then they would then inject it into soldier. Now, what would happen? It would just fulfill the pint, hopefully not that much, but fulfill the loss. And then how would it eventually just come out of their system? Is it okay to stay in there for a while?
Yeah, that's the idea, that it won't affect you. It doesn't matter about your blood type or your antigen status. Like I mentioned in the chat before, I'm B neg, so I can't take positive blood. And this stuff is non-reactive to me. I can probably can't take pints and pints and pints of it, but it functions like hemoglobin. It brings oxygen through your bloodstream. It's pretty cool.
Would you at some point need it to be taken out, or would it naturally over time just kind of come out? Or
yeah, you'd eventually probably need proper blood. But she mentions the fact in the book how often you create blood as part of your body. It's just constant, right? You can replace a pint in a few days, I think she says.
Yeah. And it gets processed through your circulatory system cleans it. And so through that cleaning process, anything that's like that would probably get cycled out.
Okay.
Because what you're doing when you're cycling the blood and your body is cleaning the blood is when your red blood cells can no longer carry oxygen, they die. And so cleaning your blood is your body taking those dead red blood cells out, and they become a waste product.
Okay.
Which is why people, so it's usually filtered through your kidneys, which is why people get dialysis when they have kidney failure.
Yep.
So chances are the body would not be able to identify, there's probably no real red blood cells in that product. And so it would likely, as it starts going around your body recognizes there's no actual red blood cells in there. And then it will take out that as the blood replenishes itself. It's just a volume packer. That can
but yeah, it'll save you. Like if you
it'll
lost
save
a
you.
lot of blood, it'll save you.
It's really cool, actually, if you think about it.
Wow.
The body.
Blood loss after injury is responsible for over 25,000 lost lives each year in the U.S. alone, and billions of dollars in medical care and lost productivity. Wow.
It's a lot. That whole chapter was really interesting.
Yeah.
I wish she would have put it at the end of the book. Like, really? I was burnt out from a lot of things at that point.
I was too, and like the first part where she's like, I don't know what an open chest looks like. I was like, what do you mean you don't know what an open chest? Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. As even a social worker, like I don't see a lot of stuff. I've seen some really gross things. I also used to do home care as a personal support worker. So like I've been around the block. I've seen some nasty things. Wow. But like open chest means exactly what you think it is. You can see somebody's organs inside their body. I don't know what you were expecting. But the part that was interesting to me about that I kind of like, it almost like reinvigorated my like desire to finish the book, even though at that point I was kind of hate reading it, was the way, like pairing the artificial blood topic with the amount of different blood products that we use, because I've never worked in emergency. So I've never really thought about the fact that we don't just straight up give people just whole blood all of the time. Like we break blood down into its component parts, which actually makes it more feasible to make artificial blood, because if you're only making one part, like you're only making hemoglobin or you're only making plasma, that's a lot easier than replicating whole blood, because whole blood is complicated.
Yeah.
Man.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
What was that, Alyssa?
I just said that's so neat.
It is. I agree.
The body is insane. I love bodies. They're so weird.
This has been such a great discussion. I'm always appreciative of, you know, book club members hopping on here with me, and I love seeing your faces. So this has been super fun, even though this is a bit of a hit or miss. It's okay. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Really quick, wanted to tell you about what we are reading next, which is Stefan Timmermans and Pamela Prickett's The Unclaimed: Abandonment and Hope in the City of Angels. So this is a book about the around 1,600 unclaimed bodies that are, you know, not picked up. Their cremains are not picked up in Los Angeles, California, and the mass burial that happens in Boyle Heights every December, which is why we're reading this in December. Typically, the Morbidly Curious Book Club has read something cold in December, like we read about the Donner Party, we read about hypothermia. Well, this month we are reading about unclaimed bodies. I have finished this. I have spoken to the authors, and I do have a little promo video here for you guys. They wanted to say hello.
Everyone, my name is Pamela Prickett.
Hi, I'm Stefan Timmermans.
And we are the authors of The Unclaimed: Abandonment and Hope in the City of Angels. And we are so honored to be selected as the December pick for the Morbidly Curious Book Club. We think that if you are curious about things that are morbid, this is a great book for you to pick up. I'm pretty sure you haven't thought about this phenomenon of going unclaimed and what that means, who goes unclaimed, why folks go unclaimed. And so we'll take you into the lives of people at risk of going unclaimed. We'll tell you about the bureaucracies, our local government agencies that handle that in Los Angeles. And we have, towards the latter part of the book, an introduction to communities, people who are stepping up to honor the unclaimed. And we think that this is, this is where the hope in the subtitle comes from.
We are very confident that you will never have read a book like this before, and it's a book that will stick with you. And the reason is that even if you are morbidly curious, you might have thought about dying well, the idea of the good death, but have you thought about the idea of the good disposition? What should happen after you pass away with your body? Maybe it seems like it's not relevant for you, but we are 100% confident that this is a book that will stick to you. When you read the stories of the 4 people that we followed through this book, you might realize that you're actually closer to going unclaimed than you imagine you are right now. So to find out, you need to read the book.
They're adorable. So this again happens on December 11th, every December. But unfortunate news. So I didn't know this until I spoke with Pamela and Stefan. In this book, if you guys have read it, or if you got to the part where they mentioned Father Chris, who is the person who initially created the memorial service, where they gather all different types of religious leaders to come do a mass multi-religious ceremony. Father Chris unfortunately passed away about a month ago. And so the future of this event is kind of up in the air, but hopefully with us reading this book and with more people bringing attention to this event, while you also figure out when you read this book, there's a lot of people who don't want that much attention brought forward about this event and the unclaimed bodies. Hopefully, though, we will get to a point where somebody else steps in or we figure something out. But December 11th, if you'd like more information, I can put it in the Discord. The authors will be there. Pamela said she'd be there for sure. She said she'd be happy to sign your book after the event if you wanted to, say hello to her. It's a Thursday in the morning, I believe, so it is a rough time for some people to get there. But hopefully if you're able to and you're in the area, obviously if I still lived in LA, I would totally be there, but it's a little far from me now.
Same.
Like complete opposite ends of the country now. So anyway, and again, we're not meeting in December, so our live show discussion is on Sunday, January 4th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And on the book club's site, we do have a poll going on right now of our favorite read of 2025. So if you guys would like to hop on over there and vote, you can imagine what we read this year. Stiff is in the lead, of course. Here's my shocked face. And also, I need to post this again on socials, but if you guys have not seen yet, this is everything we are reading in the 2026 year. It's going to be a very good one. I'm excited. I've only read a couple of these now. I've already spoken to our February authors. I'm speaking to our January author tomorrow, just because the end of the year is always super crazy busy for me. So I was getting some things out of the way, and I got to meet Rachel McCarthy James, who wrote Whack Job earlier this year. She's super cool. So I'm excited. It's going to be a great year. And yeah, this will be on our socials pretty soon. Probably closer to the new year, I'll post something. But yeah, Rip Father Chris, and I'm super excited for Jennifer Wright. That's going to be a fun one. Definitely an interesting discussion. And yes, please support local. If you guys want the book club picks sent right to your door and get some goodies like book plates and stickers that my dear friend Annalise prints out for us, stickers and bookmarks and postcards and everything. I think Mike's got it here at the ready. You get a letter from me on the back. You get a sticker that we don't put on the book. You can put it on the book if you would like to. I do, of course, but they do not come pre-sticked, okay? Because I love you and I know how bookish people can be.
Mine's on my laptop. I just can't show you because I'm on my laptop.
On the back of the laptop, yeah. Same.
Love that.
I stick mine on the inside pages of our picks because I don't want to put them on the cover.
I am currently, unfortunately, too poor for the subscription box, but I have saved all of the things that I've gotten from past ones.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so if you guys would like that, it supports. Oh, yes. Nice too. There's some goodies, and by supporting the book box, you support a lot of small businesses in the greater Charlotte area of North Carolina. So That is appreciated, and again, all on our website. So I guess I will see you guys on the 4th. Hope you all have a wonderful holiday and a great new year. That's crazy. Are we already at that time?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're saying that.
I
That's-
know. Shit.
I mean, I will say it is officially Christmas season because the cranberry ginger ale is out.
Have some in my fridge.
They're so good. They're so good. And if you're a Patreon member, I will see you here in about half an hour to discuss our spicy book, which is also one of my favorites. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I'm just gonna come and listen to everybody's thoughts. I didn't read
Might
it.
too, just to see people.
Come hang out. Listen, I'm always
hang
down
out
for
with
that.
us.
Come hang out. It was a very interesting book. So, all right, friends, thank you so much for hanging out, and go vote at the poll, go follow us on socials, and do all the things, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, friends.